He was named after his grandfather, who was named after an abolitionist. He is from the South Side and is the youngest of 11 children raised by a single mother. He enjoys travel, skiing, scuba diving, hang gliding, and photography. He truly loves movies. He says, seriously, don't start talking to him about them. He will follow you home, stand in front of your house, and yell up at your window to keep the conversation going. Please put your hands together, make some noise for DeWitt Williams!
Speak louder. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I got to go on as the best performer I've ever seen in my entire life. So, thank you, Beatles. So this story takes place, everybody hears me in the back, yeah? This story takes place about, 80 years ago when I was 12. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, as you said. And I'll pay you your money up. I grew up on the south side, and when I grew up there, the neighborhood was almost totally black by the time I got there. There were a couple of houses left that had white people living in them, and everybody else was black. Across the street from my mother's house, there was a house that had 4 brothers living in it. And I'm not being contradictory, they were siblings, they weren't brothers. And down the street from my mother's house, there was a house with an old white woman living there. We called her the old white lady, until our mothers found out, because mothers still hit you in those days, so we stopped doing that almost immediately. But she was very scary. She had, don't know, it's an architect right here, I don't know what it's called. You go under the house, that little thing, you can go under the house where it's, under the porch. She had like one of those. And under that, there was a hump of dirt. And that hump of dirt was where she had buried her husband after she killed him. And we knew that because what else could it be? Scary lady, hump of dirt. I mean, come on, right? So we avoided her a lot. And it was weird because as though I was vigilant, one day she just wasn't there anymore. The house wasn't there. I mean, the house was there, she just wasn't there anymore. But in front of the house, one day, there was a U-Haul moving truck, and somebody was coming in to move into the house, after she was gone. And my mother made me go down the street and help them with their moving, because my mother's from Mississippi, so I was down there helping them with all the stuff. And after I got the piano up to the attic and the basement refinished, I'm limping back down to my mother's house, and the woman of the house came out with her daughter, and they met in the middle. She was coming to introduce her daughter, and she was like, Miss Williams, thank you for the help, right? As if my mother had done it and I hadn't. But if you ever see my mother, don't tell her I said that. I'm still scared of my mother. And my mother said, it's okay, Miss Wright, don't worry about it. I don't mind. And so Miss Wright had her daughter with her, and I was 12 years old at the time. And her daughter was, I think, like 12 and a half, you know what I'm saying? And I fell. I just felt like it was immediate. I knew it. It was like, it was ridiculous. I was, I knew what I was doing, but, not really. And Miss Wright said, Miss Williams, thank you for, the help. And then she said, Regina, this is Miss Williams' son, DeWitt, right? And Regina said, oh, RW, DW. She said, if we ever got married, I wouldn't have to change my initials, right? And I said, if we got married? I said, I think you mean when we get married. And I reached out and I touched the ring finger of her left hand. And 35 years later, I still wish I had actually said that. Easy. I'm as disappointed in me as you are. What I actually said was, and then pepper spray, and I ran away. But it was bad. A 12-year-old stalker, it was ridiculous. I'd see her coming out of the house, and I'd make it a point to jump out of the house when she was out of the house, and I'd obstruct her path. I'd be out there doing push-ups in my Easter clothes, 99, 2000. Hey, Regina, I didn't see you come. Oh, big old rags. It was bad. And and I was like, those days we spent a lot of time hanging out with the neighbors. And I remember in the summertime, there was this thing, black people know this, black people have, some black people have what's considered as good hair. it's about the grade of hair. You have good hair. And I had hair like that. Regina thought I had pretty hair. I had pretty hair. Now I have pretty much all gone hair. But back then, I was a player. So Regina used to like to braid my hair. It was fun for her. She would braid my hair, and I would sit on their front porch, one step below her, in front of her, and she would braid my hair. And then, that was our bonding moment. And then 10 minutes later, I'd take it out and say, could you do it again for me? But when she would braid my hair, she would sit there behind me, braiding my hair, just braiding. And I remember one time I got bold and brave, and I decided to make a move. And this is my move. I leaned back and I put my elbows on her knees. Am I right? Yeah. So I was pretty surprised she didn't get pregnant that day. It was that, it was that, so she didn't know, but, she didn't realize. And I just kept wandering in misery like that, unloved. And I remember one day I was working for her mother. I did a lot of stuff around her mother's house. And her mother said, I've got something you might like. She said, she said you should borrow this record from me. A record is a round thing that plays music. Christmas Carol and stuff like that, Kate Taylor. And she said, the record, the song was American Pie by Don McLean. And she said, Regina and Tony, my other daughter, they really like this song. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm gonna borrow this record and I'm gonna listen to it over and over and over again. And then one day, like about the 4th of July, on my schedule, Regina and I are gonna be singing together. And, we're gonna be in love. It's like, you got me. I love you, Don McLean. Come here, Don McLean, I love you. So I took that thing home and I listened to it over and over and over again until I had it down pat. And I was like, July 4th is right around the corner. Here's my big move. And February came, and I was at their house, and I still hadn't gotten to sing the song, and I think I'd almost given up on it. And we were sitting around their house. We were upstairs, and we were watching. Regina and Tony and I were in their room, door closed, because her mother had nothing to worry about. And we were watching Snoopy Come Home, which I love, right? And I still know all of Snoopy Come Home, because there's a lot of trauma in it. Charlie Brown found out that he wasn't Snoopy's first owner. The Daisy Hill Puppy Farm. Snoopy almost went to live with Lila. No dogs allowed. All that stuff, right? I remember all that, right. So, and, I got kind of emotional then. I was like, I'm not crying, you're crying. So, happy ending. And the thing was over with, and we were like sitting around like nothing else to do now. And Regina said, what do you guys want to do now? And Tony said, well, nothing really do. We don't have a school tomorrow. Let's hang out some more. And Regina said, you know what we should do? Let's sing American Pie. I lit it up. You should have seen it. To this day, I remember, I was just tearing it up. Did you write the book of love? Break dancing back. I was killing it at first. I didn't know it at the time. But when you have a song like American Pie, it's so long, they record it on both sides. Yeah, I'm bitter. It's funny now, but So, I'll tell you this about American Pie. Side A, I can tell you where that ends, like to this day. It ends at helter skelter, and that's it. And we sang, and we got the helter skelter, and I was like, helter skelter, thank you, good night. And they were like, the birds flew off in a fallout shelter, and I was like, there's more to this song? And there was a lot more to that song. There was like Jimmy Dean and the people in the park and the candlesticks, and I was like, this is just killing me. And I'm making up lyrics like Smokey the Bear with the penguins in the pool, damn you Don McLean, damn you to hell. And it just went on, and I was 12 and I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. And then eventually the song ended about 2.5 hours later, and I was like, I met a girl who sang, and the song finally at long last ended, so I was humiliated. And Mr. Wright called Tony downstairs to do something for us. It was just Regina and me in the room, and Regina kissed me in the room when Tony left the room. And I had no idea it was coming because I am not smooth and I have no expectations. And so I wasn't even at she was like this close before I was sure she was going to kiss me. So she just walked up and I was like, is she going to kiss me? Is this going to be, and it was like, kick, click, woo, woo, and she like kissed me, and I was like, this is it. You know, I was like, you know, now she's gotta be pregnant. You know, I mean, you know, both lips. I'm just saying. So she kissed me, and then right after that, my mother called and said, like, you know, my son's been out there bothering you too much. Send him home. And Miss Rice, like, you know, and my life was pretty much like Charlie Brown in that night because I said, good night, Mrs. Rice, thank you for having me over. And as far as I know, Miss Rice said, won't, because I wasn't paying attention. And I went home like Charlie Brown, everything was beautiful, everything was wonderful, fantastic. And then I was like, you know, my obsession bloomed and blossomed exponentially. And like 3 or 4 days later, we were in a house full of people, and Regina said to me, DeWitt, it's quits. And I said, we were together at some point? Were we a couple? And you didn't tell me we were a couple? We could have been kissing more. I didn't know about all of this. And I like left bitterly, and I was like, you know, that's fine. If you don't want to break up, we can break up. And I walked home like Charlie Brown, you know, ting, 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 ting. And I am not bitter because Regina lives in Arizona now. She's a very sweet woman. And she's married. They have like 11 or 2 kids or something like that. And I have to believe at least one of those kids looked like me because my elbows were all over those knees. Thank you. Good night.
Wasn't as good as yours. Wasn't as good as yours.
Keep it going for Dee Williams!
Did you like it? I